Good morning. Happy Friday to everybody. It's Daryl here. It is 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. So, I want to talk about good triumphing over evil, positivity being a more predominant force than negativity. Um, those things that we learned when we were kids, that good will triumph, that idea. I'm starting to have more hope in that. Let me tell you how I came about to this conclusion. Overnight, I was watching the CBS World News, and they had an interview of a couple and their son in South Carolina in Myrtle Beach. They were on vacation. They were vacationing from Arizona. Both of these two states are having an incredibly horrendous rise in COVID-19 infections. Now, okay, the couple was a married couple, very fit. The wife was blonde, good looking, trim, looked like expensive clothes. The man was very trim, looked like an expensive polo shirt, expensive pair of designer glasses. Um, a very upwardly mobile younger couple, probably in their late 30s, and their son was a pure blonde, blue-eyed, probably about 12, 13. And the man was talking. He was talking about COVID-19 and how he doesn't believe in wearing a mask. That this is just like the flu, and he's not going to be scared of it. Why should he be scared of it? There's a lot of things that could kill us, and I'll wear this mask if I have to when I go in the store, but it's just like the flu. I'm not going to be scared of it. And I gave this some thought. I thought about it is his freedom if he wants to risk his life, if he wants to be willfully ignorant. Obviously, obviously, without a doubt, I can guarantee this family watches Fox News. Because if they watched any other station, but I started thinking, it is his freedom to if that's what he wants to believe, then that is his freedom. And I started thinking about the outcome of this, how eventually this selfish attitude. That's what I see it as. The Trump, the cult of Trump talks a lot about their freedoms, and they have a what about me? I've been mistreated. I deserve this. They seem to have a very selfish attitude. I think that's why Trump. That's one of the things besides racism that appeals from Trump to his supporters. It's a more arrogant, what about me, screw everybody else mentality that seems to be very predominant right now. And then I started thinking, eventually, this could be the downfall. We talk about how we make jokes about thinning out the gene pool. When you see somebody doing something stupid, diving in a pool with only a foot of water, something like that. And we'll make a joke about thinning out the gene pool, kind of getting rid of the people with not too much intelligence. And I started to think about this. I started to think about how Trump and his fight to do away with Obamacare in the middle of the pandemic. I talked about this yesterday with the insurance, taking people's insurance. I thought about how I did this other video where there's Trump supporters I know, my family, that actually believe the reverse, that Biden is trying to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, and Trump is trying to save it. How they've been fed these lies, they believe them, and they have no desire to believe anything else. And I started to think what the final outcome might be. That if these people keep believing this, it could be their downfall. They could end up being destitute, bankrupt, through losing insurance, through if their insurance loses the mandate with previous conditions, people could easily become bankrupt. And then I thought about this guy in South Carolina, where this pandemic is raging, putting himself at risk, downplaying the severity of it, and how it increases his likelihood to get sick. And I started to think that eventually, I don't know how else to say this, but maybe Trump supporters are going to end up feeding off themselves and just wiping themselves out. Where, I mean, I hate to say this, but, good triumphing over selfishness, over the arrogance, racism, and selfishness of the cult of Trump. How eventually, I think the ruling class of these Republicans, the billionaires like Trump, are they're gonna prevail. But I think their supporters, the middle class that are watching Fox News, that are believing that the pandemic is nothing but the flu. I mean, I think eventually it's going to take its toll on these supporters, where this willful ignorance will eventually take its toll, and it's going to decimate the Trump supporters through bankruptcy, through death, through sickness or whatever, as they continue to believe these things that just aren't factual. Like with this guy talking about, he has no reason to be fearful of the COVID-19 virus. It's just like the flu. He actually said that, and he's standing there with his wife and his son, and he doesn't, he's not the least bit concerned that, his wife could end up on a ventilator. He doesn't even believe it. And, and I think, though, eventually, through survival of the fittest, that it will take its toll on these people. People that ignore the actual scientific proof, that insist on sending their kids back to schools in some of these states. They might have to learn the hard way. That eventually, I think this might, and I mean, I hate to say at the beginning of this video, I said it gave me hope. When I say that, I'm not talking about the decimation of Trump supporters. I'm just talking about good presiding over evil. That selfishness, the selfish, arrogant attitude won't prevail. And that gives me hope. I don't know, it's kind of a pessimistic view, but I think it's based in reality. And one more thing, I was just dying to bring this up. Donald Trump, the Goya beans. I said I wouldn't talk about this again, but this is another example. In his arrogance, and Ivanka's arrogance, I think Ivanka thinks that she's so pretty, she's so sexy and everything, that she could pose with a garbage can and make it look good. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. Her posing with those Goya beans is the laughingstock of the internet, of the nation, of the world. And then with Donald Trump selling beans off his desk, I think this was an effort. I think it was a twofold effort by Donald Trump. And see, these are both, they're not based in positive, good morals. I think one of them was to make the left angry by violating ethics, and that he knew he could get away with it, and it would own the libs. I think that was one of his motivations. I think his second motivation was to try to correct the damage he's done with his racist statements and try to get back some of the Spanish, the Hispanic vote. Honestly, I think it was all about him. I think it was trying to manipulate the Hispanic vote, and I think it backfired horribly. Just another example of when you pander to the negative side of life, eventually it'll take its toll. So, I mean, this is giving me hope again. I don't know. I hope it gives you guys hope too. All right. You guys have a good Friday.